about to start our lives. Thank you guys for joining us for another live stream where today we're going to be going over the stocks that we actually picked yesterday. And just to give you guys an update, yesterday we picked five stocks that we were interested in trading. And out of the five stocks that we picked, we actually we actually traded two of them. So doing two trades for the day, that was pretty good. Um, so let's see here if we can, let's just kind of go over some of the stocks here that we went over. Let me a second here. Let me just go ahead and fix this up. All right. So there we go. All right. So we had five stocks that we picked yesterday. The first stocks that we picked was GLXY. We didn't get a chance to trade that. We didn't get a chance to really trade that today because the setup wasn't there. Let's kind of zoom in just a little bit more. You can see the trend lines that I set up from yesterday. We had an area of resistance that we set up over here. We had an area of support. We knew that if the stock, well, what I was betting on today, and this is all, we're looking at everything on our daily time chart. We were hoping that the stock price would actually go up, hit this point over here, which was the 30.46, and from there it would drop. But as you guys can see, the stock price had opened up roughly at about $28.36. And from there, the stock price went down as low as 25.56, and it closed at 27.68. So I didn't get the chance to trade it because what I was looking for was for the stock right now is showing that it was in an uptrend. I was hoping that the stock would actually hit this area right here, and then I would actually be able to put in a put option and wait for it to drop. So the setup wasn't there for today. But when we go back and we look at it on our lower time charts like we did yesterday, let's see here. Let's move this up a little bit here. I'm doing okay, yeah, let's move that up. We're doing both live stream on YouTube as well as on TikTok. So, all right, so let's go ahead and do the setup. So when we move down to the lower time frame, which is going to be the 4-hour time chart, here on our 4-hour time chart, we're trying to see if we'll be able to trade this tomorrow. We see that with our moving averages, that curve is about to happen and it's about to consolidate and maybe change down into a downtrend. Typically, once the price falls below the bottom moving average, we know that we're in a downtrend. And right now with the RSI, it's kind of indecisive. With the RSI right over here, you can see that it's right along that line, that dotted line, which is the red lines. That's the 50 mark. So once it goes below the 50 mark and it points down, it's pointing downward. That lets us know that we're in a clear downtrend, right? So right now it's coming down, it's going up. So on a 4-hour time chart, doesn't look like we have an option. We don't see a possible trade there. And for those of you who are wondering why am I not buying, as far as believing that the stock is going to go up, it's like I said before last week and I said yesterday in my live, the tariffs, the administration basically said the 1st of August, the countries need to come to the table. And because there's a large amount of countries that did not come to the table with the tariffs, the president basically said Thursday he's going to implement the tariffs. So Thursday, I expect Thursday to be a not so great day for the stock market. And I could be wrong. But if Thursday he implements a lot of the tariffs for those countries that did not participate or come to the table for negotiations, Thursday may look like last week Friday, where last week Friday the market just basically crashed. Okay. So here on our 2-hour time chart, so here on our 4-hour time chart, we can see that the setup is about to happen, right? So as you go down in the lower time charts, it lets you know what to expect on the higher time charts. So here on our 2-hour time chart, we still have this area of support that we highlighted on our daily time chart from yesterday. And we have that area of resistance, right? That's right over here. And we can see the crossovers happening where on our moving averages, the red line goes on top. And once that starts to point down, that lets us know that we're in a downward trend. But what I'm looking for is for this price point right here to fall below this area of support. Once the price point gets below this area of support, I'm going to put in a put option and take as much much profit as possible. Okay. But right now on our 2-hour time chart, I don't see the setup. I don't see the setup happening. And as well on our 1-hour time chart, So on our 1 hour time chart here, you can see that the red lines on top, it's pointing straight down. Green lines at the bottom, pointing straight down. These are our moving averages. I have them color coded. So whenever our red lines on top and it's pointing down, green lines at the bottom and it's pointing down, it lets me know that we're in a downtrend. Like here, as you can see, the green lines on top is pointing up, red lines at the bottom pointing up, lets me know we're in an uptrend. And that's why I have mine color coded like this. So it's easy for me to just visually take a look at it and see what's happening. Now, here, there's two things that's going to happen. So as you can see, the market actually closed at 27.68, and now it's during the post market is at 27.48. So the price is coming down. So tomorrow morning, when the market opens up, I'm looking for one of two things. One, I'm waiting for the price to drop and close on our maybe 5 to 15 minute time frame. I'm waiting for the price to fall below this area of support, which is this blue line, and then I know that I'm in a clear downtrend. Or if the market price even opens up higher and then hits this area of resistance here and it starts to do a turnaround, I would put in the put option here. So for those of you who don't know what the put option is, the put option is a really good way to kind of like, I don't like to necessarily call it day trading, but it's a good way you can day trade. It's also a good way where you can put up as little money as possible and still make a really, really good return on your investments. I'm only doing the option puts right now because I expect Thursday to be a bloodbath in the market. All right. So, and that comes down to another thing, which is you got to have a very diverse portfolio. You have to be able to buy stocks, options, Forex, because sometimes certain markets are not working out for you and you may need to go over to another product, another trading product that can actually make money for you. So on our 1 hour time chart, it's looking pretty good. It clarifies that we are in a downtrend with our 1 hour time chart, right? Now, when we go down to our 30-minute time chart, it also lets us know that we're still in the clear downtrend. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to leave these here as far as our areas of support, our area of support and our area of resistance. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and redo this alert here for this for the blue line that you see here, which is my trend line. And we're just going to go ahead and set that alert up again because it was triggered earlier when the price came down earlier today. So once that price comes back down, we're good to go. Another indicator that we may be in a downtrend and may not even continue to rise is I'm going to keep an eye on our RSI. Right here with our RSI, right now is roughly right around the 50. That's what these red dotted lines are here. So if tomorrow morning the price in our RSI, if our RSI is kind of pointing down below the 50, then I know that it consolidated, went up, and now it's coming right back down. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll put in the put option right over there. If I put a put option here, I'm actually going to sell it here around 26.06. So even with a dollar movement with a put option, you could still make some money, good money, depending on how many contracts you put in. But for me, because I know it's in the downtrend, it may hit this area of support, but I feel pretty good that it may break through it. Another thing that I would tell a lot of my students who took my course on Udemy, Stock Trading Simple Beginner Guide, would be to not necessarily buy it here, but to wait till it falls below this area of support. Because when you buy it below this area of support, as far as putting a put option, the stock price can continue dropping and you can make money. All right. So that's this particular stock over here. This right here, I would probably say if I had 3 stocks, this will be my third stock because this will be number 3. This would not be like the stock that I'll be focusing heavily on. All right. Now, this is another one of the stocks that we looked at yesterday when we did our live. And this stock, I actually ended up trading this one today. That's why I have a green dot next to it. I actually bought this stock, and remember we had set this up yesterday during our live. And if you guys if you guys watch my live either here or on YouTube, you can remember this one. We had this area set right here because this was an area of support. And I believe when we looked at this one, we looked at it on we had looked at it on a 5-minute and on a 15-minute as well. Yeah, right here on a 15-minute, we had looked at it. So what happened was the price, and as you can see here, this is around 9:30. The price actually opened up above that area of support. It fell down below it. And when that got triggered and it fell down below it, I actually put in the put option right about here at about 32.99. The stock price then went back above it. And sure enough, with the next 15 minutes, Within an hour, the price was down, falling down below it, and I actually sold right about here, and I made a pretty decent profit. And for this particular trade, options put, I only put up about, I believe it was uh, I think it was like $240. I 200 well, I'm sorry, $240 per contract. So I ended up buying a limited amount of contracts, and I was able to make a pretty decent profit with this particular one. I don't like to talk numbers as far as how much I make, but yeah, but each contract was roughly about 240. And yeah, so that was a pretty good trade right there with this one. So I got out of it once I noticed it kind of hovered around this area for a little bit. And the reason why I sold it is, if you look here, it kind of hovered around here, and then if you look down and you look at our RSI, you can see where the RSI fell out of this purple area right here, meaning the stock price at that point, it was oversold, and meaning the price dropped too fast and they considered it to be oversold. And that's why you see here it hovered around here, and then it did a little bit of a pullback, went back up, and then it came back down. A lot of you guys may be looking at it like, well, why didn't you stay in it? And this one right here, I bought a 10-day, my contract was going to expire in 10 days. But like I said, with a lot of the things that's going to be happening right now, I use options really if I want to do somewhat of a day trading where I want to buy a stock, do a put option, or even just do a call option on a stock, and I just want to make good profit, but I don't want to be in them too long. Then I would trade on the shorter time frames, and I really do like my day trading with the options. I wouldn't just do regular day trading with stocks. I use that really for options. I use options for day trading really. So this one I was able to get out of this one, and I made a good profit here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one off of our watch list. And then the next stock that we had was BRKR. Now, this particular stock over here, we didn't get a chance to trade it. The reason why I didn't trade it, so as you can see here, yesterday, let's go to our daily. Okay, so on our daily time chart, the stock, we had our line set up over here, but let's go down to our 15. Let's go back down to the 15. So here, let's go to 9:30. So this is the 9:30 candlestick. This is the candlestick at the beginning of the day at 9:30, right? And we had our line here, our alert. That's why you see it was triggered here. So when the stock came down and it dropped, it opened up and it dropped, and it went well below this area of support within like 30 minutes, right? So when it dropped here, as you can see, when you look at this candlestick and then you look at our RSI over here, okay, so the earnings report came out right around here, and then the RSI lets us know. You see, it was oversold. It basically saying, hey, the stock dropped too fast, too rapidly. It was oversold. The earnings reports came out, so I kind of stayed away from it, and I said, okay, you know what? Sometimes you'll see where a situation like this happen, where an earnings report would come out and the stock price just dropped. Now, keep in mind, this is a 15-minute time chart, so each one of these candlesticks is 15 minutes. So 15 minutes. 30 minutes, right? So for the first 30 minutes that the market opened up, the stock price just basically dropped, right? So you would sit there as a trader and say, "Oh wow, the stock price is going to continue to drop because here it was on Monday, it closed up here, it opened all the way down here. Earnings report comes out in the first 30 minutes, the stock price is going down." And then guess what happens when the stock price is this low? It pulled back and it went back up. So anytime I see big gaps like this happening, there's one of two. I don't like to trade them because there's one of two things that's going to happen. All right. When a big gap like this happen, that means a lot of people are selling off. And then the big institutional traders, they'll come in when the stock reaches a really low point, and then they'll just come in and buy up the stock and pushes it back up, just like you can see over here. So this is why, if you watch any of my other live videos, you always hear me say you don't want to trade a stock when an earnings report is coming out, or you don't want to be stuck in a stock when their earnings report's coming out, right? So when that happened and I saw that happen, I was like, okay, I was going to wait maybe 30 minutes or so, after 30 minutes to an hour after the earnings report come out, to see what happened. And sure enough, it dropped and then it came back up, and now it's well above the area of support. It went up to this area of resistance right over here. But because all of this happened, I was a little bit wary of it. And I said, there's a lot of indecisiveness happening. So even though it came up and it hit this area of resistance where I originally had it lined up, and I said, if it hits this area of resistance, I'm going to buy it. I'm not sorry, buy it. But I'm going to put a put option saying that the stock price is going to drop. I just decided, you know what, it's just a little bit too risky. So, and there's a lot, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And I did leave it alone and sure, but it did come back down, and yeah, there was an opportunity to make money here. But this, when it comes back down to what I have always said, you never really want to be too desperate for stocks or for trades, because if you don't know how to use a stock screener and pick stocks, what's going to happen is you'll see something like this happen where the stock drops, and then you're going to say, oh, I got to buy it, because you have no other options. But remember, yesterday during our live, we picked 5 different stocks that we can possibly trade. So because I had other options to trade, other stocks that I can possibly trade, when I saw this happen and I saw all this craziness, I said, you know what, I'll just back away from it. I'll wait till later or wait till tomorrow to trade it, because I have other options to trade. Okay. But if you don't have other options to trade and you're only looking at one particular stock or 2 particular stocks, even though it may be a little bit risky and your gut's telling you, hey, don't trade it, you end up trading it because you have no other stocks to look at. You have nothing else on your list. This is why typically I always like to have, 5 to 6 stocks on my watch list that I'm keeping an eye on. So this way, if something like this happened, I don't trade it. All right, let's move on. All right. So now that this has happened, everything is kind of cool off. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be resetting this, and I'm going to take this area and I'm going to line it up with this area of support right over here, right, which is where the price dropped. So I'm moving this blue line down here. So tomorrow, what's going to happen is, as you can see, the stock price had actually closed at $32.06. During the post-trading hours, it went up to $32.26. So basically, it's right about here right now, a little bit above our area of support. So tomorrow, what I'm going to be paying attention to is I'm going to sit there and say, okay, well, tomorrow, once the stock on our 15-minute time chart closes below this area, this area of support, I'm going to go ahead and buy it. Now, remember, just because a stock price breaks through that area, you want to wait for it to close below that area of resistance, that area of support, before you actually put in your put option. Like, take, for example, this candlestick over here. Let's zoom in a little bit. And I want to show you why. And this is where a lot of new traders make this mistake, this fatal mistake. You see this candlestick right over here? This one was at 330. This candlestick, this price came in and it broke below that area of support. And as soon as it broke below that area of support, if you bought it here, the next candlestick opens up here, right? And it went up and then it just closed right back over here. So just because the stock broke through or touched that area of support doesn't necessarily mean you want to go ahead and buy it. You want to wait for it to close below that area of support, which is what I'm going to be doing with this options put. Okay. So this one right here, we've set that up to say, okay, and I'm not even worrying about the stock going up, because right now we can see that on our, let's go ahead and bring that down. We are looking at this right now on our 15-minute time frame. We can see that we're in a clear downtrend. The moving averages, red lines on top pointing straight down, green lines at the bottom pointing down. So we know that we're in a downtrend on our 15-minute time frame. And if we switch over to our daily time chart, okay, if we go to the daily time frame, here you can see, remember that blue line that we just wrote? We did look at that. It's right there on this line. So here you can see where our moving averages, they're starting to consolidate. When the red line's on top, stock's going down, green line's at the bottom, stock's going down, right? So when the green line's on top pointing up, red line's at the bottom pointing up, we're in the uptrend. But here you can see where they're starting to consolidate, and we're probably going to have another crossover here, and then you're going to see where the stock continues with the downtrend. So we're going to see if it closes below this area of support, and then we'll buy it. We already have our alert set up. The second trade that I did for today was the stock symbol BE. I did this trade today, and once again, this was a put. We set, yesterday we set up our area of, this was our area of resistance, and I said, hey, once the stock hits this area of resistance, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in an options put, saying that the stock price is going to come down, and then we're going to take our profit. Sure enough, all right, the stock price, let's go on our 15-minute time frame and we'll take a look at it. So sure enough, the stock price did come up and it did touch that area of resistance, and they did this within the first 30 minutes, right? And I bought it, and the stock price came down, and when the stock price came down, Now, keep in mind, this right here is at $38. And when the stock price came down to about 37, I think it was like $37, I was able to get rid of it and we made a really good profit. Now, this particular trade, because of the price it is with the options trade, each contract for this option only cost me about $180, right? And $180, and I made a 30% return on each contract that I had. All right, and that's just with basically like a what, $1.50 move, almost like a $2 price movement almost. So that was pretty good. All right, so making a 30% return. So option trades can be extremely profitable, but they can also be extremely risky. So the same way, if it went in the opposite direction, I could have lost 30% of whatever I invested per contract. All right, so we're going to go ahead and delete this one because we're not going to keep an eye on this one again. We're not going to bother trading this one again right now. I don't like to trade the same stocks like back to back day, day to day. So the next stock that we had on our list from yesterday, it was FLR. All right, so this one over here, and now look at this. This is a beautiful setup over here. Look at this. Oh, wow. All right. So remember, we had and this is on our 15-minute time chart. So this was the beginning candlestick for the day right over here, right? This was the beginning candlestick of the day right here, right? This one was the 9 o'clock, 9:30 candlestick. Now, the price was here. We said this was our area of resistance that we set up yesterday. We said once the price hits this area of resistance, we're going to go ahead and put in the put option, wait for the stock price to come back down, and then we'll sell and take our profit. But if the price if the price closes below this blue line, which is our area of support, then we would actually buy. We'll put in the put option here, and then we'll get rid of it and take our profit right about down here, right? But what happened was yesterday, I was already stuck in two trades. So when I was stuck in two trades, and I don't like to be stuck in more, like especially when I'm dealing with options, options are really high risk, right? So I don't like to be I don't like to be in more than two trades with options, because there's a lot of things that can happen, and you have to watch these things very carefully. So what happened was I got the alert here, and that's why you see this little, if you can see this little clock right over here, it's gray because it was triggered and it's saying it's no longer active. So the alert came in and it said at 10 o'clock, it hit that area of resistance. By that time, I was already in the other trades. And then sure enough, if I had put in the put option, it would have dropped, and I might have not taken my profit, because if I bought it here at 41 and 41.62 and it comes down to 40, that's only like $1.50 movement. Yeah, I could have made probably a decent profit depending on how many contracts I bought, but I probably would have lost out because I would have been waiting for it to come a little bit, maybe come down a little bit closer, because look how quickly it just went up and then it kind of did a turnaround. There was nothing here really telling you that the turnaround was going to happen. So that's a good thing. But tomorrow, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking at this tomorrow, and the price right now is right about here at 41.58. So tomorrow, as long as the price point doesn't close above this on our 15-minute time chart and it touches it again, I would probably put in a put option only if two things was to happen. One, here our RSI has to be pointing down below the 50. And on our daily time chart, it has to let me know that we're in a clear downtrend. Like right now, you can see where we had this big drop. Remember I told you guys I don't like to do these trade when they have these big drops. So here you can see where the stock price was considered oversold, and now it's pointing up. So that's letting me know that, okay, there's going to be a pullback. So when I look at this, and we switched to our daily time chart. So here it's letting me know that there's going to be a pullback. So if there's a pullback, I'm going to wait for it to get right closer to these red dotted lines, if not touch them, which is the 50 mark. And then once it hits that area, it should be bouncing back down. It should start to fall again. So what I would have to do is wait for it to do the pullback. And then once it does a pullback, then it's probably going to go ahead and drop. So I'll have to keep an eye on this one as well. So right now we have three stocks that we're looking at. And I don't want to buy anything that I'm going to be stuck in for the next day or two, because like I said, Thursday is when the tariffs are actually implemented for the countries that did not come to the table with the US. So any trades that I jump into tomorrow, I want to be out of them by the end of the day. I don't want to be stuck in any trades going into Thursday, because Thursday I'm going to really sit back, watch the market, and then figure out what I'm going to do and see how the market reacts to the tariffs that are actually going to be implemented by the president. Now, this is something that I always got to put this plug in here, because I do these lives really because some of my students told me this is the best way to get more people and to share information with people. I do have a course on Udemy called Stock Trading Simple Beginner Guide. I have over 800 students. We're almost at 900 students. And one of the things I tell a lot of my students is you cannot expect to successfully be a stock trader if you are not watching the news, you're not up to date on the news. And that's what they call a fundamental analysis, right? Fundamental analysis is anything that's happening in the news, rumors, reports that's coming out. Technical analysis is what we're doing here, where we're looking at the charts, we're looking at moving averages, RSI, support and resistance. That's our technical analysis. But the fundamental analysis, especially with this current administration, you have to be up to date what's happening with the news, because any one of you guys that trade on Thursday, this coming Thursday, and you buy a stock believing it's going to go up, and then you get hit with a loss, and you're like, what happened? It's because those tariffs are going to be implemented, and the market and other major investors and institutional investors may react negatively to that. So you can never be a successful trader, people, if you're not waking up every day and spending the first 5 to 10 minutes being up to date on what's going on in the news. I don't care if you believe in this fake news stuff or whatever the case may be. Watch CNBC, any one of those. Watch Yahoo Financing. But you have to be up to date on what's happening. Regardless if it's real news or fake news, you have to sit there and be able to look at the news and say, okay, this is what they're reporting. How is the market going to react? How are institutional investors going to react to it? How are the retail investors going to react to it? And then you have to sit back and wait to see what happens. If you are planning on trading just using signals and all this other stuff, it's not going to work out for you. This is why when I see a lot of these influencers, with a blank, let me see here. Let me see if I can, I'll set up my, let me see here. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I be seeing a lot of. I see a lot of this happening, right? Where, let's go here. I'm clearing off my chart, right? And let's erase these lines here. I'm going to take off all these lines. I see these traders, right? And their charts look like this. And they're like, oh, you need to, and then they'll go say, oh, you need to buy when it's here. And they do these lines and they say, you need to sell when it's here and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here like, how, how could you look at an empty chart like this and say, oh, this is where you buy and sell because of this and that, when they know and I know, well, every trader knows when they're not on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube trying to look like they know what they're doing just off the top of their head. This is how their chart looks. Their charts look like this, with all of the same things that I have with these indicators on there. And their charts look like this, but when they're showing videos and trying to influence you guys and telling you guys they know what they're doing, they're just copying and drawing these same things here that you see. Okay. And I say this because a lot of the times when students sign up to my course, they always say, well, this person is a really good trader and they're showing me all this stuff and they be telling you exactly when to buy, and they be doing live trades and they be replaying stuff. Let me show you what they're doing here. Okay. And I'm not talking bad about anybody, but this is a feature for those of you who don't know. This is a feature that's on TradingView called replay, right? So when you see something like this happening, let me show you. And we're going to do a one-time speed. When you see something like this where the traders are like, and they're showing you, let's go with the speed that up. And they're showing you the charts going like this. This is what they're doing. They already know what's happening. They're just doing a replay, and then they're trying to say, oh, look, I'm doing this live. They just make sure that you can't see this piece right over here. And then they're just like, oh, and then they're like, okay, we're going to buy it here. I'm going to buy it here and I'm going to see what happens. Then they go in and they press play, and then bam, guys, look, I made it. That's all they're doing. Okay, so when you see them doing this crap right here where they're doing the replay, it's basically an instant replay. It's a sham. And I get sick and tired of like having people come to me and and showing me stuff. And then when I point out to them, like, look at the replay button at the top over here. This is why you see when I do my lives, my lives, I like to do it to where you can see all the buttons and everything here on the screen, like over here, because you know that I'm not doing a replay. You know, like what you see is like what it actually is, and it's not like I'm trying to convince you or show off. And this is why one of the things I don't do is I don't trade live, because I could not concentrate trading live, being focused and doing my technical analysis while talking to you guys and explaining to you guys everything. I'm going to overlook something. This is why you'll see me. I'll put up a quick short video and say, hey guys, I just bought this stock at this price, and we'll see what happens. And I'll come back and say, hey guys, I just sold it over here. But I always show you guys the date and the time. So this way you guys see that I'm actually posting this as I'm making the trades. But I don't have time to make great videos or all this other stuff, because I don't make money from TikTok. I don't make money from Instagram or from YouTube. I make money from trading, and I make money from selling my course. So I don't have time to put 3, 4, 5 hours into editing videos and trying to look all dramatic and everything else like that. And whatever you want to call it. But I'm not going to get into that. That's for another story. But you guys have an awesome day. Just be careful what's happening on Thursday. Like I said, Thursday, the tariffs are going to be implemented. So if you are in any long-term trades, any retail trades, especially retail trades, you want to stay away from the retail trades. You want to stay from the e-commerce trades for Thursday. And let's see else here. I would probably go more for, and you also got to be careful about some of the manufacturing as well. Right now, we're having a big spat with Canada. Canada provides us with a lot of our aluminum. So there may be some aluminum stock companies that are U.S. based. Their stock may go up because they're going to be, they're not going to be getting hit with the tariffs. So you just got to know how to trade based off what's happening in the news and everything else like that. But yeah, just be aware of that. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Later. And we're going to end that on TikTok, and we're going to end this on YouTube.